Among the Indian coastal states, Gujarat is bestowed with the longest coastline. It is so full of the virgin and exquisite beauty of the sea, the coral reefs. The Gulf of Kachch on the northern shores of the state of Gujarat has a number of islands with coral reefs. The coral reefs are ridges or mounds of limestone or calcium carbonate. These reefs in the Gulf of Kachch consist of both live and dead corals. Since time immemorial, human being is attracted to the sea and exploiting its resources. In Indian mythology, the sea is called Ratnakar, meaning treasure house, and one of these precious treasures is praval or corals, which are basically marine organisms. Four of these coral reefs, namely Pet Shankhodar, Boria, Karumbhar or Kalubhar, and Pirotan, have been explored by divers from 9th to 14th February 1999 and videographed for the first time. The Pirotan Reef is the northernmost reef of the Gulf. This and its adjoining islands are at the core area of the Marine National Park in Gujarat. Its subtidal region is the region that never gets exposed during low tide and is beyond the depth of penetration of satellite imagery. Here, the water depth is 5 to 7 meters and the seabed is composed of rocks and coralline sand. It is on these rocks both the corals and its associated flora and fauna grow. These colorful corals are biologically known as Tubastria aurea. They lose their colors when brought up to their surface. Coral reefs harbor a large number of other marine organisms. The age of the coral reefs of the Gulf of Kachch varies from around 5,000 years before present at Pirotan to 45,000 years before present at Okha. Gulf of Kachch coral reefs mark the northernmost limit in the Indian Ocean. The associated fauna are sea lilies, etc. At Pirotan, siltation and continuous raining of dead organic matter made the visibility not so clear. Corals are important as traditionally having religious significance, economically as their ornamental value and source for pure form of calcium carbonate, used in industries and house building, as a medicine praval bhasma in Ayurveda, ecologically as the coral ecosystem is an abode of a large number of flora and fauna. A rough estimate would indicate 70 to 75% of live coral. Corals secrete pure form of calcium carbonate and were exploited by cement factory for lime production. The coral reefs of Sikka region were exploited to the fullest in the Gulf. These moving flower-like parts on the coral, called polyps, are the live parts of the corals that secrete calcium carbonate. They release mucus to entrap plankton, which are their food material. The vegetation in the corals is dominated by this economically important brown algal species called sargassum, which often grows to the height of 2 to 3 meters. The southern end of Karumbar Reef, when exposed during low tide, is about 1 kilometer from the Vadinar jetty to the north of it. Here, the jetties of 2 oil companies are located. Between the jetties at Vadinar and Karumbar Reef, 2 single buoy moorings, or SBMs, have also been located. These SBMs will be used to receive oil imported by oil tankers. Oil will be transported ashore through undersea pipelines. Here, the underwater explorations were carried out at water depths from 5 to 10 meters. Hard or stony corals were less here. The long polyps of this species is an adaptation to combat the harmful effects of siltation. Some of the coral species in the Gulf of Kachch form small islands without lagoons and grow upwards to the tide limit and are flat on the top. These are called as patch reefs. The corals have slowest growth at the rate of 5 to 25 millimeters per year. These are called platform corals. The rough assessment would indicate about 70 to 75% live corals and 25 to 30% dead corals. The sea lily, a form of sabella, close shop when they are disturbed. This is also how they catch their prey. Sponges are common associate fauna in the coral ecosystem. The coral reefs are an abode for a variety of colorful fish, like the smart-looking angelfish. These varieties of corals are popularly known as brain corals because of their shape. Tidal currents at the bottom sways the vegetation as wind sways the trees on land. In fact, the bottom looks like a garden under the sea with pet animals playing around. Gorgonians or sea fans contain a bioactive substance called prostaglandin that has anti-fertility activity and can be used for family planning. The white soft corals, very often shaped like cauliflower, belong to the genera Dendroneptria and Neptria. This is another sea cauliflower. Moving westwards towards the mouth of the Gulf, the reefs at Borea and Bay Chankodar are known to harbor a profusion of pharmacologically important flora and fauna. Borea is like a small sandbank. It gets exposed only during low tide and remains submerged during high tide. This red alga is known to have carrageenan, a product used in puddings, jellies, and other confectioneries. Sponges are the major organisms boring through corals, retarding their growth. But some of them have useful medicinal properties and are exploited for this alone. It has a beautiful reef underwater with plenty of the cauliflower-shaped soft corals. This area is rich in sponges. This red alga, Soliera, contains a substance called agar, which is widely used in several food products for human consumption. This green alga, commonly known as sea lettuce, is an edible one with high proteins and vitamin A. Scientists all over the world are still working on the reasons and solutions for coral reef death. Some reasons are believed to be longer exposure time to the sun and the high siltation. These are soon replaced by opportunistic animals like sponges and marine algae. Strong tidal currents at the bottom did not make the divers any comfortable either. The algal growth was as profuse as before. Here, the visibility was poor. In fact, inadequate visibility caused by increasing siltation worsened from Piroton westwards to Bay Chankodar. As a result, abundance of dead corals also increased outwards. A rough estimate at Borea revealed about 50% of live corals. This is a living animal called sea anemone having high medicinal properties. It also closes shop when disturbed. Beach encoder is so named because of its shank-like conch shape. Here, the coral reefs are mainly on the southwestern end of the island. Sea grapes are green algal species used in salads in East Asian countries. Here also soft corals are more than the stony corals. Soft corals shaped like cauliflowers were abundant at various stages of growth. Sponges are found in abundance in both these reefs. Sea fans or gorgonians and the shy sea lilies or echinoderms and plenty of colorful marine algae live at these depths in perfect symbiosis. Here also a rough estimate revealed about 50% of live corals. The poor underwater visibility around these islands has not improved one bit since the initiation of marine archaeological exploration at this area by the National Institute of Oceanography (Goa) about 15 years ago. The coral reefs offer natural protection against disasters like cyclones, storm surge, etc. The north coast of Saurashtra is thus nicely protected against these natural calamities. This has made possible all the developments in this area. The coral reefs of the Gulf of Kachchh call for proper attention for their conservation. Their existence would be symbiotic for the sustainable economic growth and development of the state of Gujarat.